It was supposed to be the fantasy adaptation of the year. Omniscient readers' Viewpoint, the beloved webtoon with a cult following, finally brought to the big screen. But the moment the trailer dropped, fans weren't cheering. They were furious. And what happened next? Even shocked longtime followers of the story. When you're trying to adapt a story that spans 40-plus episodes, and that's just the beginning, you're playing a dangerous game. The sheer scale of Omniscient Reader's world wasn't made for a 2-hour runtime. Maybe a 16-episode Netflix drama could have pulled it off. But a movie? That's like trying to summarize an entire Dungeons & Dragons campaign in one breath. And fans noticed immediately. The timeline was crammed, story arcs were chopped, and settings like Gunho Station and the Green Zone were barely recognizable. By the time the trailer ended, even loyal fans were saying it out loud. Lower your expectations. The visuals should have been a saving grace, but they sparked even more confusion. Why did it feel like a game trailer? That's when people found out that Smilegate, a game company, was one of the key investors. Suddenly, the glossy CGI, stylized explosions, and lighting that felt like it belonged in an MMORPG made sense. Except, this wasn't a game. This was supposed to be a high-stakes survival epic. A story about humanity, sacrifice, and strategy, not a glossy ad for a mobile fantasy title. But the real damage came when the characters showed up and barely resembled the icons fans adored. Let's start with the goblin. In the original, this creature had an unsettling charm. Part feathered, part mischievous. In the movie, the goblin looked like a fuzzy mascot at a theme park, lacking menace, mystery, and presence. It was embarrassingly tame. Then there's Saa SC. She's meant to be that unreachable goddess in the HR department, the one everyone admires from afar. But her film counterpart? The personality was changed. The aura was missing, and she felt more like a rom-com sidekick than an elegant enigma. And Lee Gi-ryong, the child fighter who stunned readers with his unexpected power, now looks like an actual kindergartner. He's adorable, sure, but nowhere near the dangerous prodigy fans fell in love with. Still, nothing stung more than what they did to Kim Dokja. In the original, Kim Dokja is a calculated reader turned survivor. Cold, sharp, always 3 steps ahead. His brilliance came from subtle manipulation, not kindness. He wasn't a hero. He was something more dangerous. The only person who knew how the story would unfold. But in the movie, that edge is gone. He's rewritten as soft-hearted, constantly helping others, waiting politely for people to exit a building while they just walk past him. He's passive, altruistic, and painfully dull. And that first mission, the one that showed off his cunning in the original, was stripped of all strategy. Instead of cleverly misdirecting people and asserting his control, movie Dokja just stood there, quiet, awkward, hoping people would work together. That wasn't the Dokja fans knew. That wasn't the point. Then came the betrayal fans didn't expect. Yoo Jung-hyuk's reveal. In the webtoon, his entrance was a slow burn, foreshadowed, teased, then boom, impact. The moment he stepped on screen, it felt earned. You could feel the weight of his presence. In the movie, they gave it away. Right at the beginning, through narration. The mystery vanished. The tension collapsed. And instead of clever banter and psychological back and forth between him and Dokja, we got a gag scene. Yes, a joke. Where Dokja calls him Jung-hyung, like some neighborhood bro, and ends up shouting as he falls. The original's legendary line, "Let go of that line and get out, you loser," was reduced to a unforgettable mutter. The rivalry had become slapstick. And it wasn't just character dynamics that were off. It was the world itself. Gone were the detailed constellation mechanics, the logic that gave every decision weight. Vital information was skipped. Characters lost their origins. Yu Sang-shin's acting background? Never mentioned. Skills that made characters unique? Glossed over or replaced with vague powers. At some point, it stopped feeling like Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint and started feeling like any other generic fantasy action movie. So why did this happen? It wasn't just lazy writing. The creators had a different goal. The director wanted to tell a story of hope about a non-regular worker from a humble background who saves the world. A message of altruism, a tale that comforts young people struggling in today's society. That's not inherently a bad thing, but it is completely different from what fans came for. The original was thrilling, unpredictable, and at times, cruel. It offered a rush, a strategy-fueled survival game where your brain mattered more than your brawn. That's what readers loved. Not being told to wait your turn in line and be nice. So the real question is, can this movie work at all? For hardcore fans, probably not. The betrayals are too deep, the characters too off, the rules too broken. You'd have to unsee the original to even try enjoying this. For newcomers, it's a toss-up. The plot might be too complex without prior knowledge. The emotional beats won't hit without the original context. And the action, while flashy, may come off as hollow. Worse, if this movie fails, it could stall any future adaptation plans. Korean cinema needs hits to keep going, but with this gamble, they might have alienated the exact audience they needed most. So, is the Omniscient Reader's movie a disaster? Not exactly. It's just something else. A reimagining. A message-driven tale that wanted to inspire rather than thrill. But when you change the soul of a story, you risk losing everything that made people fall in love with it. Thanks for watching, K-Sweepers. Did the movie ruin your favorite characters? Or are fans just being too harsh? Let us know in the comments. And if you're still holding on to that sliver of hope for a faithful sequel, hit like, subscribe, and keep watching. Because sometimes the story isn't over until the reader writes the ending. See you in the next video.